Everybody. If you are here from my Instagram and website, Learning with Personality, welcome. If you are from VIP Kid, you're more than welcome to stay as well. I have a website where I help teachers and parents learn how to work with students according to their personality type. But today I am focusing on the cognitive stages of child development. This is important because with personality, we have things we're born with, and then which is our temperament, and then we have our character side, which is experiences, choice, things that we learn from, decide to do, influences, things like that. And this is something else that we can't control. This is cognitive development, is brain development, and this happens whenever your brain is ready to reach that next stage. Um, Unless there is like some delay or something like that. Today I'm going to be talking about the typical stages and when they occur and what they manifest as. And so, really quickly, I want to do my little soapbox and then I'll go into the information. But I just want you guys to understand that with cognitive development, since it happens when your brain is ready to reach that next stage, we don't control it. And so sometimes parents get worried if their child isn't at the same as another child who's the same age. And that's because each child reaches it at different times. So even though it may say it's about ages 2 to 7, your child may reach it earlier or later, and that's okay. When I taught, younger grades, I remember I was teaching money and time, and that was one of the things that I just saw that for some kids, it was just a light switch and then they would suddenly get it. And parents would be worried if their kids weren't able to do it yet. And I was just like, well, you can keep exposing them to it, but just understand that could be based on developmental stages and just hold on, be patient, and just wait for it. There was one teacher who said, when a student walks into my room, I don't know if they were the first to speak, the first to walk, the first to feed themselves. Because those are cognitive development skills and they happen when the student is ready, and you don't know it later on when the student reached that stage. And so it's all good. Okay, soapbox done. Let's start getting into some of this theory. So, if you've taken education classes or any childhood development, you've probably heard of Piaget. He was a child psychologist and he developed this theory of the cognitive development stages. So, there's four that he has. So, sensory motor stage, which is birth through about age 2, pre operational stage, about 2 through 7, concrete operational, which is about 7 through 11, formal operational, which is about 11 to older, which I think it's clarified it's about 15 to 20, depending on the child, the person. So first we are going to talk about sensory motor stage. So this is birth through about age 2. Now, with this is where they are putting things in their mouth. They are using their senses to explore. When they're first born, they function so much on reflex and instinct. But as they get older, they start to use these different physical interactions to understand the world around them. A lot of what they hear, what they see, what they feel, what they touch, what they taste. And this helps them start to understand. This is where we really start to see object permanence. This is where if something is out of sight, it isn't out of mind. So that's like why we play peekaboo, because they laugh because they know mom's coming back and it's a fun game. Or they'll drop a toy and then they'll want you to pick it up because they know it's still there. And so they'll cry until they have it. So there's more breakdown of that. I'll put a link below to some more information if you want to read a little bit more in depth about these different stages. The next part is pre-operational stage. So this is about that age 2 to 7. And so in this stage, children don't really understand concrete logic and can't really mentally manipulate information. And so they really do a lot of play and pretending. They do this symbolic functioning, and that's where they assign, like, I'll be the mom, you be the baby, you be the cat, and this playing house, having a tea party. And this is where you really start to see their social part start to come out and how they interact with people. They also are very egocentric at this stage, which means they can't really see other people's viewpoints or they really have a difficult time. So, this is where you can really when this happens to you, how do you feel? So, if you did that to this child, How do you think they feel? So they can start making connections. If I felt this way, then this. So you really have to do a lot with helping them see their viewpoint and how it would connect to others. Um, and then one of the other things that's interesting about the stage is pre-causal thinking, which is where they really want to start understanding their world. So they start making connections, which maybe won't be necessarily correct. Like if you say, "Why does it get dark at night?" They may say, "Because I go to bed." Or "Why does the wind blow?" "Because it's angry." So they'll start making these connections because they want to understand their world. And you'll probably see about age 4, questioning really becomes a huge part for them. So, why does this happen? How come this happens? Da, 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 and which can sometimes be annoying, but it's them just trying to figure out what is going on in their life. They want to see cause and effect. They want to understand their world around them. So the next stage that we're going to go over is concrete operational. Now, concrete operational, this is about 7 to 11, so the pre-adolescent years. And this is characterized by using logic and having a more adult thinking, start solving problems in a logical fashion. They're still not quite to the hypothetical thinking yet. They're still in that concrete event and objects. And so understanding that can really help, because sometimes we start thinking by like 5th grade, we're like, oh, they should really be getting this. And some students may, and some students may not. So really understanding that if they're not getting it, they may just not have reached that stage yet, and that's okay. They start to use more of the inductive reasoning, so using things to understand, drawing inferences, observing, deductive reasoning, um, and so. Well, they do more inductive. Deductive is a little bit harder at this stage, but you may start seeing it towards the end. And so the egocentrism we talked about is starting to be eliminated at this point as logic and things are becoming more important. And so they really can start seeing more of those other perspectives at this time. Um, and so that's really interesting. But you can use justification, you can use different word choice to help them understand if certain things don't make sense. Children will still be asking questions, especially to try and figure out how is this logical. And you can ask questions to help them start drawing answers and things like that. So the last stage that we're going to talk about is the formal operational stage. So that's of course from age 11 to older. So like that 15 to 20, which I mean, that's a big kind of range. So this is where they start using, of course, still logic and symbols, but in abstract concepts. And so this is where you'll start seeing abstract thought, metacognition, problem solving, trial and error, hypothetical reasoning, deductive, more of that deductive reasoning. And so before, when they were mostly using inductive, now it becomes more deductive. And so really, really interesting. Experiments are great to do with this stage and starting to understand, asking those questions, having them start seeing causation and how things happen like that. So why does this matter? It matters because, as I stated at the beginning, understanding that our children may not be at those stages yet, and that's okay. But then also understanding that as we create lessons, we need to help them understand. Or as we need to understand that it needs to fit into where they're at. And you can kind of see if they're on the border of stages. You can kind of start testing, like, oh, are they understanding this yet? And if they haven't, that's okay. But it really just, it can help us create better lessons, better environments, and have more patience with our children where they're at, and understanding that they'll get there. They'll get there eventually. We just have to wait for them to reach that stage. I'll put those links below to learn more about this theory if you want to learn more about it. I'll do some more child psychology probably and some other things, but you guys are wonderful. Have a great day. Hopefully this helps.